A very good evening and welcome. This is Primetime News. I'm Joel Outgoon. Well, all eyes were on the Supreme Court today as the entire country awaited the decision of the Supreme Court on the dissolution of Parliament. Well, at about 8:30 p.m. this evening, or roughly half an hour ago, the Speaker's Media Division issued a media release announcing the Parliament would be convened at 10 a.m. tomorrow. Well, now this followed a stay order from the Supreme Court suspending the Gazette notification dissolving Parliament earlier this evening. Well, we have all this and more coming up on Primetime News tonight. But first, let's take a look at the headlines.
The Supreme Court grants interim order staying the proclamation to dissolve Parliament by the President. Politicians speak about the Supreme Court order. Kapila Chandrasena appointed the chairman of Lankan Alliance. At Gala Mountain in Hungarankata continues to erode.
Well, first up on our top story this evening. Now, the Speaker's office announced a short while ago that Parliament will convene at 10 a.m. tomorrow. Issuing a statement, the Speaker's Media Division noted that Parliament will be convened in the line with the Gazette notification 2095/50 issued by the President on the 4th of November. As such, the Speaker calls on all members of Parliament to attend the sitting at 10 a.m. tomorrow. Moving on now, the Supreme Court issued interim relief today, suspending the operation of the Gazette notification dissolving Parliament. Several petitions were filed before the Supreme Court yesterday, challenging the dissolution of Parliament. Newsfirst.lk Zulfiq Farzan filed this report.
This is an opportunity. Justice and fairness reign supreme in this country. Democracy has been protected. The rule of law has been secured. At the same time, this is an important instance where a signal has been given to the entire country that the Supreme Court and other institutions of the judiciary will deliver fair decisions. We must make use of this decision to establish democracy. We must allow space for the parliamentary majority. Parliament must be convened. Most importantly, we must not engage in any acts of harassment. There has been a return to normalcy following the violation of the Constitution through the dissolution. The most important factor now is who holds the majority in Parliament. That is the most important question. This is what has been indicated to us. Since permission has been granted to convene Parliament, this will be done through the Speaker. The court has issued an order suspending the Gazette notification dissolving Parliament until the 7th of December. Hearings will be conducted on the 4th, 5th and 6th of December. We now return to the status quo prior to the dissolution of Parliament, and there is no obstacle now to convening Parliament. Parliament will be convened on the 19th. We said at the first instance on the 26th of October that we would defeat this conspiracy. We are not coming forward to help the UNP or Mahinda Rajapaksa. We said we would defeat this in the name of democracy in this country. I wish to say at this moment that we will go beyond this decision and end it by sending home Maithripala Sirisena, who violated the constitution, and the cartel who came into government through rogue means. Letters have been received from the General Secretary of Parliament that Parliament will be convened. We are happy that a decision has been made in line with the law. The 19th Amendment strengthened the judiciary and the citizens are seeing the results of this today. Personally, this is not a victory for me or the UNP. The Constitution and the rights of the citizens have emerged victorious today. The citizens of this country received a major victory today through the re-establishment of the Constitution due to an independent judiciary. We saw several politicians speaking to you today as if the hearings had been concluded. In truth, the Supreme Court has not cancelled the Gazette notification, which dissolved Parliament and called for elections. The Supreme Court has suspended the Gazette notification until the 7th. The case is not over. More days have been given to us and them to make submissions. We will file objections on the 19th. Counter objections will be filed on the 26th. Written submissions will be filed on the 30th. The case will be taken up again on the 4th, 5th and 6th. The President has the power to convene Parliament. The Supreme Court has now suspended the Gazette notification dissolving Parliament. The President must now decide whether he will convene Parliament. The President can take a different decision too.
Well, now a large crowd gathered at the Supreme Court complex today.
Hearings of the petitions challenging the Gazette notification issued by the President dissolving Parliament continued for a second day today. Attorney General Jayanta Jayasuriya submitted to court today that the Gazette notification issued by the President dissolving Parliament was not unconstitutional. The Attorney General made submissions for about 1.5 hours from 10 a.m. today. President's counsel M.A. Sumandiran contended that while the Attorney General made submissions in support of the President, he has a duty to uphold the Constitution. In response, the Attorney General noted that whilst he was making submissions for the President, this is in line with the Constitution and prevailing law of the country and not in violation of the Constitution or to serve the needs of the President.
12 petitions were filed at the Supreme Court challenging the dissolution of Parliament. The UNP, TNA, JVP, Sri Lanka Muslim Congress, the All Ceylon Makal Congress, the Democratic People's Front, the Director of the Centre for Policy Alternatives Pakisoti Saravanamuttu, Attorney-at-Law Aruna Laksiri, Attorney-at-Law Lal Vijay Nayaka, Attorney-at-Law J.C.J. Pereira and Attorney-at-Law Indika Gallage filed petitions. A petition challenging the dissolution of Parliament was also filed by Professor Ratnajeevan Hool, a member of the Elections Commission of Sri Lanka. Professor Channa Jayasumana of the Medical Faculty at the Rajarata University came forward as an intervening petitioner.
A series of petitions, at least 12 petitions that were filed against the dissolution of Parliament, especially the Gazette notification on the dissolution of Parliament, were taken up before the Supreme Court yesterday and today. Now, yesterday almost 8 petitions were taken up for consideration, and this morning Attorney General, accompanied by his team, presented their submissions as to why they do not go in line with those petitions or as to why they oppose those petitions. Now, the Attorney General in his submission said that the dissolution of Parliament was done in accordance to the Constitution. However, the petitioners say that it was not so. They said it was unconstitutional. So after deliberations, the 3-judge bench of the Supreme Court, led by Chief Justice Nalin Pereira, Justice Prasanna Jayawardena and Justice Priyantha Jayawardena, met once again at around 5:45 p.m. That's almost 6 o'clock, and then decided to say that they impose a stay order or interim injunction until the 7th of December on the Gazette notification on the dissolution of Parliament. In addition, a final decision on these petitions will only be reached after the petitions are taken up for complete consideration on the 4th, 5th and 6th of December. So until then, until the 7th of December, the Gazette notification on the dissolution of Parliament has been suspended with an interim injunction order. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Zulfiq Farzan from the Supreme Court complex.
Now, Ranil Wickremesinghe expressed the following views following the High Court's decision.
The people's mandate emerged victorious today. The Constitution was confirmed. Political morality took one step forward. Firstly, we appreciate the decision taken by the Supreme Court today. The Supreme Court has informed us that the Constitution cannot be abused. The Supreme Court has set dates to present facts at the court. We cannot play football with the Constitution. The Constitution cannot be turned according to one's wish, and we will not allow it. This is only one achievement. We must now win the battle. I would like to state that we will claim our majority in Parliament. Parliament has been summoned tomorrow by the President and not the Speaker. Accordingly, we will be present at Parliament and will claim our majority. I request all state officials to act according to the Constitution and Supreme Court's decision. Act according to the Parliament's decision. All steps relating to the Parliament must be taken by the Speaker. The police has a duty to meet the Speaker and discuss the necessary steps that must be taken. I would like to remind you once again, there are political parties and parliamentarians who pledge to protect our majority of Parliament. Our majority remains stable and will increase further. And therefore, victory of Parliament and the victory of people will follow.
The November Heroes commemoration organised by the JVP was held at the Vihara Mahadevi Open Air Theatre this evening. While the General Secretary of the party, Tilvin Silva, was expressing his views, the leader of the JVP informed him of the Supreme Court's decision regarding the dissolution of Parliament.
Anura brought us a very happy news, a news that would make us happy regarding the democracy. The judiciary has shown that it is independent. It has decided to issue an interim order against the gazette issued by the President, and they have decided to hear the case. We do not know how this mess will conclude. Do not think that this will end here. All they have to do is to do another conspiracy. We do not know what the conspiracy will be tomorrow. Whatever happens, whatever the conspiracy is, if there is people that will fight against it, any conspiracy can be defeated. We have proved that.
Well, news from the President's Diary. Now, President Maithripala Sirisena visited the Central Environmental Authority and the Department of the Commissioner General of Land today.
The President visited the Central Environment Authority today to supervise its operational functions and internal controls. During this visit, officials were instructed to act strategically to achieve the organization's annual targets, disregarding the prevailing political situation in the country. According to the statement released by the President's Media Division, the President looked into the process of awarding environmental protection licenses and other services within the Central Environmental Authority. The President also visited the Ministry of Lands this morning. The President's Media Division further stated that President Sirisena looked into the process of awarding land grants at the Land Commissioner General's Department and stressed on the importance of maintaining an efficient and streamlined process. The President also emphasized the importance of efficiency in ensuring the success of the 2019 national program of awarding 1 million land deeds.
Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa met the Chief Prelate of the Sri Lanka Amarpura chapter, Most Venerable Kotugoda Dhammavasathera, this evening.
Prime Minister Rajapaksa met the Chief Prelate of the Sri Dharmapala Ramaya in Mount Lavinia and had a cordial discussion. The Chief Prelate conducted a Pirit ceremony and invoked blessings on the Prime Minister. Today, through media, we can see the destruction caused by foreign nations by interfering into other countries' matters. I urge the new Prime Minister not to let such a situation arise in our country, but to lead this country towards development whilst resolving the problems within the country. Let's see, I cannot say anything until the court provides a just decision.
Touching on to a story that made it to the headlines this evening, now Kapila Chandrasarena has been appointed as the chairman of Sri Lankan Alliance.
He was the CEO of the national carrier Sri Lankan Airlines. Kapila Chandrasena was appointed to the post of chairman after the post was left vacant when Ranjit Fernando resigned from the position.
Shifting to some weather-related news this evening, landslides continue to be reported from the Atgala mountain in Dodangolla, Hapuwala in Hanguranketa.
Our camera captured this footage today of the ongoing landslide on the Atgala mountain. The landslide continues in spite of dry weather conditions. There is no path for us to travel on. The road is blocked. The school is in Poramadulla. It is inaccessible.
We came around 4:30 a.m. It is difficult to bear the noise. The echo can be heard, so we cannot stay in our houses. This is something that has not happened before.
The rapid erosion has disrupted the flow of traffic along the Hapuwala-Rikilla-Gaskada road. Several attempts made throughout the day by the Hanguranketa Pradeshiya Sabha to restore the road to normalcy proved futile. Our efforts weren't successful because the erosion continues to occur. The only option is to close the road off. We have notified the district secretary and evacuated the people to safer grounds. Officials from the district secretariat and the National Building Research Organization arrived at the location for an inspection yesterday. Although 15 individuals residing in 4 houses have been identified as being at risk, our correspondent said they have not been evacuated as yet. The peak of the mountain consists of the rock-type marble, which has cavities. Those cavities are currently filled with mud. What is happening is, due to the rain over the past few days, the mud has burst through the cavities and is currently flowing down the mountain. Even though there is no rain these days, this has been activated. In 2014, we recommended that 13 families living in high-risk zones be evacuated. We have also taken steps to implement a community-based landslide warning management system in order to protect 15 families who are residing in medium-risk areas.
An autopsy of the German tourist who died on Sunday after stumbling off World's End took place this evening.
Julia LG, a 35-year-old German tourist, died on Sunday after tumbling off World's End while taking a selfie. The body of the German national was recovered last evening following a 6-hour search organized by the Sri Lanka Army, police and groups of volunteers. The remains were brought to the Balangoda General Hospital around 1:15 this morning and an autopsy was conducted this evening. The police also recorded a statement from a friend of the deceased tourist who was accompanying her.
They arrived on Sunday morning and I sent them to see World's End. I received news that one tourist had fallen and I informed wildlife officials of this unfortunate incident. The other tourists told me that this place is not safe.
Upon completion of the post-mortem, the body is to be sent to a private funeral parlour in Colombo following a request made by the German embassy in Colombo. The deceased tourist arrived in Sri Lanka on the 3rd of this month, accompanied by her friend.
Now, leading political parties are holding discussions on whether to contest at the upcoming election through common alliances. How is the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna preparing itself to face the upcoming elections? Let's take a closer look.
The
SLFP and Podujana Peramuna will contest jointly at the upcoming elections. We made this decision following discussions held last evening. There's a proposal to appoint the President as the leader and Prime Minister as the chairman. A secretary has not been appointed as yet. Discussions concluded last evening. Nothing has been informed officially. The alliance is a combination of many political parties. The alliance includes the SLFP, the Podujana Peramuna. There is an idea to rename this alliance as the Sri Lankan Nidahas Podujana Peramuna. However, discussions are yet to conclude. We will contest at the upcoming elections based on a common understanding. All forces are equally effective regardless of the symbol. Contesting at previous elections has taken place under various symbols and this does not change anything. However, the symbol may change at the upcoming elections. Well, now the sessions of the Southern Provincial Council and several other local government bodies were disrupted today as a result of several protests that were held against the dissolution of Parliament.
The monthly meeting of the Southern Provincial Council was held today. The UNP members of the council held a protest opposite the Provincial Council before the sessions began. UPFA councillor Channa Salia arrived at the location while the protest was going on. The sessions of the Provincial Council commenced thereafter, and while the JVP councillor was speaking, a tense situation arose. The country is destroyed. What will be the end? This is completely unconstitutional. A tense situation also arose at the Attanagalla Pradesh Sabha when Tushari Priyangika raised a point of privilege.
Well, you're watching Primetime News on TV1. Now, in commemoration of World Diabetes Day, the primary global awareness campaign focusing on diabetes mellitus will be held tomorrow, that is the 14th of November.
According to the statistics of the International Diabetic Federation, diabetes currently affects 425 million adults worldwide. Southeast Asia is expected to be a region with the highest number of diabetic patients in the world by 2025, a total that is set to reach 629 million by 2045. As of 2017, total cases of diabetes in adults in Sri Lanka amounted to 1,198,100. The largest ever study on diabetes in Sri Lanka showed a prevalence of 14.2% among males and 13.5% among females. Speaking exclusively to Newsfirst, Director of the National Diabetes Centre, Dr. Mahin Vijay Surya expressed these views.
The 14th of November has been designated as the World Diabetes Day, and the theme set by the International Diabetes Federation is on diabetes and the family. Desire to use this as a theme was made by the fact that diabetes runs in families and the numbers are increasing, the age of onset is decreasing. When somebody gets the condition, we wish to impart upon them the need to protect themselves through lifestyle modification, correct nutrition to be instituted in the home, exercise to be part of life, and thirdly and most importantly, stress is our main problem today in life. Stress is a silent encroachment.
International perspective. With a population of 27 million people, Japan's economy produced $5.4 trillion in 2017 as measured by purchasing power parity, making the country the world's fifth largest economy. Japan was one of the first Asian countries to climb the value chain from cheap textiles to advanced manufacturing and services, which now account for the majority of Japan's GDP employment. However, people over the age of 65 make up a quarter of Japan's population, and this demographic is forecast to make up a full 40% of the country's population by 2060. Over time, Japan, realizing the added pressures of an aging population, looked to find a suitable solution to the socially and culturally controversial issue. One of the best reforms made by Japan to combat its aging population was the introduction of a comprehensive long-term care insurance program, which was introduced in 2000. Sri Lanka too will face this problem in the near future. Falling fertility rates and decreasing mortality rates have increased a rise in the elderly population. According to the findings of the United Nations Population Fund, the population of older persons in Sri Lanka is nearly 26%, the highest proportion of the elderly population in South Asia. It is projected that by 2030, the population of senior citizens will be 1 in 5 people, and by 2040, the percentage will rise to 40%. Though perceived as a demographic limitation by most countries, Japan has been able to transform these challenges into opportunities. It is important to learn from governments such as Japan's, as they are facing these challenges earlier than others, allowing the world to learn and benefit from their stumbles, innovations, and experiments.
Well, on that note, we bring to close this edition of Primetime News. Thank you very much for stopping by. Well, if you missed out on any stories, simply log on to our award-winning website, which is www.newsfirst.lk. I'm Joel. Take care. Good night.